As February comes to an end, we continue to check in on our local snowy owl and our neighborhood nesting great horned owls. But there are more owl adventures and other new winter species as well. From the 1880s until 1919, trumpeter swans were thought to be extinct until a nesting pair was found in Yellowstone. Even as late as the 1980s, the population was endangered. The DNR released a pair in a stretch of the Mississippi River in Monticello that never freezes because of the nearby nuclear plant. Neighborhood resident Sheila Lawrence, aka the Swan Lady, started hauling corn down to the river to feed the swans. She continued feeding them as the population grew until her death in 2011. She spent many hours hauling corn until a custom system was designed to haul it from a grain wagon in her driveway down to the river. Her husband Jim continued this 10:30 a.m. daily ritual until 2020, when the wintering population had grown to 2,700 and it was deemed no longer necessary. At its peak, 200 bushels of corn were used each week. You can still go to the Monticello Swan Park and see the huge flocks from December through March, even though they are no longer fed. Some love the sound of these large flocks. Some also enjoy a 6th grade band concert. Regardless, the Monticello Swan Park is an impressive winter sight. While I like to take photos and make videos of rare birds, Lucas and I occasionally take pictures of more common things, like cardinals, downy woodpeckers, robins, and juncos, just to make sure we have the right shutter speed and aperture for the day's lighting, in case something rare is spotted. Occasionally, those boring birds do such a good job being photogenic that I include them in my video, but I draw the line at white-breasted nuthatches. After watching the overwintering hooded mergansers, we went snipe hunting. But it wasn't a prank. We really found one. They can be tough to find in winter, especially when they are inactive in the middle of the day. But Lucas spotted this guy's long bill. The tip of the bill is so flexible, it can open without opening the base. They bury it in the mud to slurp small prey. Their plump shape is the result of having huge pectoral muscles, for a shorebird anyway, which means they can fly 60 miles per hour. And they basically have eyes on the back of their head, so good luck sneaking up on one, although we did. British first used the term sniper because of how difficult it was to shoot a snipe. Some belted kingfishers also stick around for the winter, like this male. One afternoon, we went looking for barred owls as their calling and courtship activities have ramped up. We found a pair and were able to get under this guy as he watched the geese heading for the Crow River. They swoop down and hover silently and then use these sharp talons to catch prey. Usually, owls give you warning when they are about to fly by looking for a new perch and then bending forward, but we were just a second slow with the camera. I hope to find the nest for these guys in a few weeks. The rough-legged hawk hunts in open fields and can use ultraviolet vision to help locate prey. They hunt on the wing more than other hawks, using updrafts from hills to help them hover. This white morph had to flap to stay in one spot while he searched for dinner. New moon meant a good night for astrophotography. Fortunately, Jupiter's moons were out. We decided to set my phone on a tripod near the great horn nest to see when she'd come out. The footage was too dark, but she flew out almost immediately after setup at about 7:40 p.m. and proceeded to respond to the male's hooting call with a horrible squawk almost every 15 seconds for the whole time she was out. While we weren't familiar with that female call, I guess they do it to either announce their whereabouts when off the nest or let the male know that more food should be delivered. After about 6 minutes, her dark silhouette could be seen returning to the nest. This is the only 6 minutes that she gets a break during a 24-hour period, and she probably doesn't want to make any noise while on the nest. Now we bring you back to a mallard fight, already in progress. These two drakes worked their way a half mile down the Mississippi River trying to drown each other. I particularly like this photo where a drake and a hen look on in disbelief. You can almost hear them saying, "Guys, guys, she's already taken." Besides finding locals like tree sparrows in late February, you can occasionally find a rarity like this mottled duck. They look pretty similar to a hen mallard, but they have a more yellow bill with dark near the base and a more creamy colored face. They also do not have as much white on their wings. I was hoping to find one in Florida where they are more common, but instead one came to us. While we were watching, he flew away and we missed our chance at a flight shot. But we were suddenly graced with the arrival of an elegant male northern pintail. Like everyone else, I believe he had showed up to look for the mottled duck. After surveying, he seemed to realize this little patch of open water was all mallards. This time of year is great for waterfowl because the area of open water is tiny, and that is where the ducks have to be. After adding 2 new species for the year, we decided to search for the eastern screech owl. We planned to go at dusk and listen for his call. They usually don't really screech. They will occasionally make a whinny, but they will consistently make a trill call that you can hear in the first hour after dark. You can see his eyes catching the light as he flew between perches. Our camera doesn't have a flash, and I can't see in the dark, so we only got some grainy cell phone shots. But it was cool to listen to him hunt. March 1st was a cold 10-degree morning, and we were headed to find the red-headed woodpecker in the Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge. On the way up, we came across a flock of crossbills foraging in the pines. We were surprised to find pine siskin, red-breasted nuthatches, and redpolls, all of which do not usually make it this far south. When we got to the refuge headquarters, we checked out the feeders, as a pair of eagles soared over the small area of the St. Francis River that was open. Suddenly, a red head, but it was the much more common red-bellied woodpecker. Then we spotted the smaller red-headed woodpecker for a second before he flew. We waited an hour, watching the cardinals and swans, hoping he would return. We were just about to leave when he was suddenly back. We snapped a few pictures, but he did not want to stay in the same spot for more than about 2 seconds. We decided to conclude our cold day of birding by looking for a pair of Townsend solitaires that had been wintering in Minnesota. It took us a half an hour to locate their ringing call. Our pictures didn't quite match the ones we were able to get last winter. But after 2 months of a committed effort, we have seen and photographed 83 species of birds in Minnesota in 2025. And we are headed to Florida next week. We'll see you then.